That was effective. Don't know why I didn't find the bell last year. Great to see you all. My name is Keith Betton. I'm the chair of HOS, and it's great to see so many people. There are as many people upstairs as there are down below, so that's fantastic. Particularly on what is quite a nice day, and you could have chosen to go bird watching, so thank you for being here. Particular welcome to any new members of HOS. Hands up, anybody who joined in the last 2 years. Wow, that is impressive. Thank you very much indeed. You're really, really welcome. And particular welcome also to any non-members, people I prefer to call people who have not yet joined. Just look around you. Look at the happy, smiling faces. You know it makes sense. The other good thing about HOS is that every single year you come here, it gets younger, the average age. Our youngest member is 7, and between 7 and 22, we've got 80 members. We're really proud. Many of them are here. I can see quite a lot of them sitting around, so we're just going to embarrass them briefly. Would all our young members please just stand up? Fantastic. So a quick bit of housekeeping. We are not expecting a fire alarm. Now, anybody who wasn't here last year will be wondering why there was a laugh. We had a fire alarm last year and we all went out and watched red kites in the rain. We don't plan to do that this year, but if there is a fire alarm, look out for our volunteers who are wearing the high-vis jackets, and they will direct you to where to go, which is basically out where you parked and not where we stood last year. The nearest toilets are out there near the entrance area. And if anybody needs any medical assistance, then basically we do have one of the best doctors in Hampshire, and he will take great care of you. So again, find a volunteer and they will find him. So the programme for today is on the screen. In a short while, we'll have our AGM, followed by 4 short talks and 1 longer one. And then we'll have a 90-minute break. And if you've not been to our exhibition halls, they're out round the back there. There are 2 of them. Go out and buy things, support your favourite charities, catch up with friends. Now, I like looking at old photos. Don't know about you. Here's a photo I took in 2000. The sprightly gentleman on the right is James Hancock, who was our president, and he was handing over the reins to a very smart-looking Chris Packham. Although you'll see today that standards have slipped. For the young members in the audience, we all used to wear ties back then. None of you were alive in 2000. In fact, not many people in the front 3 rows were alive in 2000. But anyway, Chris is actually in his 25th year as our president. He was pretty busy back then, but nothing compared to today. We are the only county bird club that he has become president of, and I know plenty of others have asked. He is, of course, one of us, Hampshire-born, a birder. He cares passionately about our county. He cares passionately about the planet, too. He often dares to say what many of us are thinking. And while not everyone in the room will agree with everything that Chris says, the fact is that if you care about wildlife, he is a force for good. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Packham.
Retro 60s knitwear. Come on. Smart enough, I would say. We're at St. Swithin's School. Would St. Swithin please identify himself? Because frankly, I've had enough of it. It's been more than 40 days, mate. I have indeed had the enormous privilege of being president of HOS for 25 years. but I fear that my tenure may be running short. I think the board will probably have some tough decisions to make after I reveal what's happened this morning. Earlier this morning, I was sent naked photographs of an underage goshawk. Now, initially, when I looked at the photographs, I didn't recognise the bird. But in a course of correspondence on the Nesta app, it was revealed that it was a bird that I'd earlier sniffed. And I was foolish enough to hand over Debbie Tan's and Keith Betton's phone numbers to the goshawk, so at any stage in the near future, photographs of naked stone curlews will be turning up on their phones. Isn't it remarkable that you can get a date with a Tory MP more easily than you can an appointment with an NHS dentist? That's the state of the world that we're in at the moment. But look, we ought to be celebrating today because Hampshire Ornithological Society, in times of difficulty, continues to prosper, and it prospers because of yourselves, the members. A rich community of energetic and able birders who contribute, as we're about to learn, meaningful science. And without the meaningful science, we cannot implement any meaningful conservation. It is more than heartening when we see the young members' numbers growing. All too often, I'm afraid, when I stand in similar positions, I look out upon grey hair, beards, walking sticks. And I'm not being ageist, I'm being ageist, because we must invest in young people. And I think that HOS does a brilliant job of investing, training those young people, generating opportunities for them to get into the field, which we took for granted when we were kids. It wasn't irresponsible of our parents to allow us to jump over the fence and run amok in the fields and engage with wildlife firsthand. But that time has passed, so without the proactive energies and endeavours of people who give their time freely in HOS to get those young people's foot on the bottom rung of the ladder, then that progress wouldn't be made. And that's a tremendous achievement, testament to some really brilliant work being done by the Society. But more work does need to be done, and let me focus on those young people. All too often, when I'm engaging with ENGOs, I hear, we listen to young people. I'm of the mind that the time for listening has passed. It's almost patronising to say now that we're listening to young people. We know the perils that face us in the near future. We can only imagine the perils that face them in theirs. I think that at this point they have every right to be involved in shaping that future, and that's not just by being listened to, that's by allowing those young people to make active decisions for themselves. Now, that's challenging for old people because we don't like mistakes. One of the things that's hampered conservation's progress, I think, is the fact that we don't like mistakes. We've been too cautious, too slow in some of our testing of our techniques and methods when it comes to conservation. We should have taken more risks. But life is precious, and it's really hard when you're playing the game of life, and essentially that's what conservation is involved with. It's very hard to make decisions which could counter that overall objective. But look, we're at crisis point now. I don't need to tell you the stats. You've seen them all. You read about them all in the Hampshire Bird Report, and you read about them in Kingfisher magazine, and you're going to hear about them today. And this afternoon, we're very lucky Debbie Tan from Hampshire Wildlife Trust is here, and she's going to be telling us about the state of nature in Hampshire. Not an envious job for Debbie, because there is some good news. Of course there is, but there's also some bad news too. So mixed blessings there for sure. But look, we need to allow those young people to make decisions. And of course they'll make mistakes, but nothing's more joyous than watching a young person stumble and pick themselves up and look at the ground and think, I won't do that again. And they will stumble whilst we're too cautious to even tread. And I'm going to leave you with one of my favourite facts of the moment, and it's nothing to do with ornithology, it's to do with youth. Now, mankind, for whatever you think of our species, and sometimes it's quite easy to dislike us as a species if you're going to generalise. I struggle with that, if I'm honest with you. I only need to go into an art gallery and look at paintings. Other people will listen to music by our great composers. What a tremendous organism we are. So imaginative, creative, intelligent, adaptable, resourceful. We're brilliant, really. And I go into art galleries and I see expressions of creativity that are mind-blowing, extraordinary, a testament to human, as I say, imagination and ingenuity. But we are in deep, deep trouble. And to get out of that, I think we need to move more rapidly than we are. And that takes boldness, bravery, clear speaking and clear thinking, all attributes of young people who are unencumbered by risk aversity. So here's my fact. Whatever your high point of humanity is, it could be Mozart creating music, it could be, for me, Rothko creating a painting. I think we have to all accept that in 1969, when NASA put a man on the moon, that was quite something. I mean, I still stand in my garden now looking at that glowing satellite and struggle to think not how difficult that is at this point in time when there's more computing power in my phone than they had collectively on that day in July of '69. I've seen the vessels that went there, those ships. They look like they were made by a bunch of Boy Scouts out of galvanized dustbins. I mean, the technology was raw. But nevertheless, they fired that rocket and Neil put his foot on the moon. But the fact that excites me is that on that day, the average age of the people working at Cape Canaveral in control of that mission was 25 years old. 25-year-olds put man on the moon, not crusty old 62-year-olds like me. We've got to invest in our youth. So if there is anything you can do to empower those young members that are here and to recruit more and to make sure that they have a firm foundation on which to stand when they can and will implement all of the measures which we as conservationists have tried to develop, but they'll do it more rapidly and more broadly and more forcefully, then that gives us some hope for the future. Hope for the future, from my perspective at this point, lies firmly in the hands of our youth. Thank you.